Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm Jim Eby. I'm the project manager for Hillcrest and for the community builders. And I'm really pleased for the day, so I know I can screw up a lot and people will still have a good memory. It's such a beautiful day. So thank you again for coming. I'd like to acknowledge a few people right off the bat. I'd like to thank Sislak and Tetco Funeral Home for giving us some off-street parking. We appreciate that. And the Burger King. Depending on your adventurousness, if you need to use the restroom, there's a porta-john behind me. And I think the nice people at Burger King, if they gave us parking, they'd probably let you use their facilities. So that housekeeping out of the way. A couple people that aren't normally talked about. It's a very awkward thing for us to own property that's blighted and trying to manage it for years at a time. And we hired a firm called City Source. Bill Harlack is here, and we thank you for keeping it together, keeping the trash picked up, letting us know when things were awry. So thank you so much. For those of you working with the media, Robin Beckham is here with Beckham Media representing us. I forced Pat Haverlack, who used to work with me, out of retirement to put this event together. And she's done her usual great job, so wherever she is, she's back there somewhere. There you are. Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much. As you mingle afterwards, some of the real people that are going to be actually working at this building at the end are here. Ron Shaw, who's going to be the manager, is here. If you can find him, say hello. Tricia Corwin, who handles our whole portfolio in this area, is right there in the green. And I've just met the person who's going to handle our maintenance, very key person, Jose Rodriguez. Been working with him a lot towards the end of the job. I don't have handouts of it, but this is our interest list brochure. You can write down how you contact us or let me know you'd like me to mail you a copy. Interest list, not waiting list, interest list, okay? And when we get to the end of the job, being on the interest list, make sure you get contacted. You don't worry about missing anything. You'll get an application at that point. Also today, here is artist Natalie Settles. Where's Natalie? She's tall and in the back, or there she is. She's seated now, so she's not so tall. She has a rotating show in this laptop over here. She's been selected to do the public art. We're about where we're going to be when we have the grand opening. This will be our two-story community room, and we expect Natalie will be doing an artwork on our glass surfaces that face out to the street. So we invited her here today, and we'll see her work at the end. We don't do the kind of closings we used to do. We used to get in a big room and we met everyone and we had a nice dinner afterwards. And today it's all over the internet and FedEx parcels. So these events are nice for people that all work together to actually see each other. So I'm glad you could all make it. And I want to just give a very quick overview of Hillcrest. It's 66 apartments for senior citizens. They're starting to flatten out where one of the wings goes, right there. And one of the things that's in TCB's way of working is it's housing for seniors of all incomes. Someone can be making a go of it just on Social Security. Someone could be rather well off, and while we don't have an unlimited supply of everything, there's something for every income level for seniors at Hillcrest. We started late March. So far, we've abated the asbestos in the old grocery store. You see it's coming down. We tore down that rather scary retaining wall that was around the back. It was a crib wall, and we're regrading, putting in a new system back there, so I'm sure the neighbors are very happy to see something nicer. I'd like to start off by introducing Rob Fossey, who's TCB's director of our Mid-Atlantic region, and there you are, and if you'd say a few words, please. And then could you introduce the mayor? Sitting right there.
Yep. Oh.
I got us out of order.
Yeah.
Why don't you welcome him and introduce the mayor?
Welcome, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Peduto.
Thanks, Rob. That's the shortest introduction I've ever done. Yeah. It's an honor to be here, and thank you again for your commitment to Pittsburgh. This is the type of project that we want to see replicated. This is the easy one to become a partner with and to invest in because it hits all the goals that we're trying to do in Pittsburgh. We talk about it as P4. We have this fundamental belief that if we use public money, we must see how it will benefit people, the planet, performance, and place. With the people, it's easy. And as was stated earlier, 66 units that will be available to people of all incomes. More importantly, it will be available to seniors who can now have later years in life in respect. A place that is of a higher quality than what we usually see, in a way to stay in a neighborhood that you've invested your life and be able to do so with respect. And that's what we want to see in every neighborhood. And I wish we could do this and duplicate that in every neighborhood. Planet, this building is being built to passive house standards. What's that mean? It won't use energy. It could actually be a net positive, producing more energy than it uses. And when people say, you can't do that, it costs too much. Well, I could say I can show them a few places in this city where they are wrong. And we do it for everyone. Performance, it meets what we need. Very early on, Councilwoman Rudiak made this a priority, looking at the need in a community to be able to make sure that people had the opportunity to stay in Carrick. She also saw the need along the avenue to be able to build something that will bring other development around it in an area that needed to be redeveloped. And it hit on all of those. And because of her steadfast request, I'll call it a request, it might have been a little bit stronger, that we invest in this, it's happening today. And then on place. This begins a long road for Carrick, because it was a long road that took it from where it was to where it is today. But these types of investments that have happened in other neighborhoods but haven't happened enough south of the rivers, we'll start to see the development that other parts of the city have seen. It's like a tent pole. And as you put it up, you see on either edge development occur, and then it continues block by block. And that's how you change a neighborhood. When you can hit all four of those standards, you know that you've done an investment that's worthwhile and one that needs to be repeated in neighborhoods throughout the city. To all the people on the board behind you, thank you. Those are the folks invested in this to make sure that it happens, and all the people under the tent and right outside it. Thank you for giving us something that we can now take and say, see what they did in Carrick? Let's do that and name your neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. As Jim mentioned, I am Rob Fossey. I oversee the Mid-Atlantic region for the Community Builders, and it is a great pleasure to be here with you today. TCB has an over 50-year history of working on projects just like this throughout communities east of the Mississippi River. And while we started off in Boston South End, Pittsburgh is very much our Mid-Atlantic origin, and we've been here for about 16 years. So we are delighted to continue that partnership and be here at this groundbreaking today, which was one that was a while in the making, as Jim alluded to, and we'll talk a moment about as well. This actually, well, we've been here 16 years. This is our first live project outside of the East Liberty community. Not that we have certainly put our toe in the water at other places, but certainly our main commitment has been in East Liberty. So not only are we expanding our presence here in Pittsburgh, but we're doing it in a different neighborhood, which we are delighted about here, to be here in Carrick, and hope that there'll be much more of that. In fact, Jim mentioned we've been working on this since 2012. We actually started working on it before 2012. We bought it in 2012. And those of you who know the property could see why. It was a prime piece of real estate, and we couldn't wait to own it. But we had the vision, and we knew that partners like those that you see on that board were chomping at the bit to step up and make this happen. And we took four bites at the apple at the PHFA to get the allocation. That's a lot for those who don't know. 4 separate tries. I told Jim I was glad that PHFA doesn't follow rules of the Little League Baseball, because they would have used the mercy rule on us at some point. But nonetheless, with the help of many of the people that are gathered here today, we were able to prevail on this last go round and make it to this point today, which we are delighted about. When we reconvene here in about a year, TCB will have 461 dwelling units under roof in Pittsburgh, and roughly 22,000 square feet of commercial space. And then we have another 146 units in Allegheny County at McKees Rocks. But at present, just 38 of those units are dedicated for seniors. And so to have 66 additional units coming online to serve a population that we know is greatly demanding this kind of quality product, and to do it in this location, a neighborhood that so many call home, is a great pleasure and honor for us. And so we will continue to build this to the standards that folks who know us have become accustomed, and continue to look for opportunities to partner with you to bring our unique combination of capacity and mission to bear in this city that is our Mid-Atlantic birthplace. The other thing I wanted to mention, and the mayor talked about Passive House, which is this is our first experience with Passive House, and which is essentially a design approach to energy efficiency that PHFA really has taken a leadership role on nationally and incorporating into the way they score applications. And I think that shows real leadership because of the efficiency aspects that you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, but also because we are all citizens of the world, and being thoughtful about how what we do contributes to the greater good is important. And so we are delighted to have this be our first Passive House. I think there were times when Jim was going through the process of getting that designation that he thought it might be Passive Aggressive House, but nonetheless. We have achieved pre-certification for something called the Passive House Institute of the United States. Yes, that does exist, and they describe it as the best path to net zero and net positive energy use. And now we know a lot of other states and localities that we're working in are following the model and incorporating that as well. So thanks to the mayor and his team, to URA, Robert and their team, and PHFA, this labor of love that started 5+ years ago is truly underway. And I would echo the mayor's remarks about the role that Councilmember Rudiak played in getting us over the line. That request, is that what you was we would not be here today but for her commitment to this, and we thank you.
Well, you heard a lot of mention about PHFA, and so it's fitting that Carla Falkenstein's the next speaker. So come on up. I want to say that by getting the award of tax credits from PHFA, that's 70% of the funding for this project raised through equity, so that's a major accomplishment. We thank you for that. And just a quick thing you might want to hear is I had our contractor take a look at the Passive House costs, and we didn't compare it against some stupid house down the street. I mean, we compared it against your regular standards, a little higher level. And it's only a 2% increase in cost. and we're going to have lower operating expense. So it looks promising, and
Right.
so I just want you to be aware of that.
I appreciate that. But I also feel like there's a trap door that Jim is going to pull a string, But anyway, on behalf of Brian Hudson and the board of directors at PHFA, we are very glad to be here on what this really is going to be a great development. I do feel like I need to personally apologize to Jim for him having to be a property owner for 4 years, but we're very glad we got where we are now. And on the bright side, if this had been funded the first round, it would not have been a passive house deal. So, because we have these buildings with us for 75 to 100 years or more, so it's critical that when we put them up, we get it right. And Community Builders is getting it right on this one. It's mixed income, it's using a blighted property, it's supporting transit, walkable community, it's going to be a vibrant center for everybody, and I want to thank you for your perseverance with us. We are very glad to be a part of the deal going forward, and I wish you the best of luck on a smooth construction project, and look forward to being here when everybody moves in. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am getting off quick because I know this is happening.
Thank you very much. Okay, next on to HUD and Jane Miller. Just quickly tell you what their role is here, and then she can fill you in more. And in doing that, I wanted to mention the Housing Authority also. David Weber and Heather Gaines and Jerome Frank have worked closely with us to make sure that 16 of these apartments are affordable to the very lowest income seniors. And that money that they use comes through HUD. Also, the way we were able to buy this building and hold on to it so long was we used stimulus money from HUD under the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. And the Redevelopment Authority has put a lot of home money from HUD into this development. So we should hear from HUD, right?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda.
Not quite as much money as you get from PHFA, but we'll make a contribution. On behalf of HUD Secretary Julian Castro, we would like to thank TCB and their development team for persevering and bringing affordable housing to one of the southern neighborhoods of our city. We are pleased to be able to partner in a way with you, as Jim mentioned, several pots of money that come to this development through our partners, the city, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, the Housing Authority, and of course you mentioned the stimulus money, which is several years old at this point. So we are very pleased to be able to be a partner to this, and it's not that often that I get to be able to say 3 different pots of HUD money. So I like to see the pooling and consolidating of those funds, because they are not a lot and not frequent, so it's a real pleasure. And congratulations, and I look forward to being here next year.
Thank you, Jane.
Oh.
Left your diamond ring on the...
No. And I forgot the Housing Authority, because that is, as you mentioned, a very big piece, being able to the lowest income people. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the way the system works is you apply to the Housing Finance Agency for an allocation of tax credits, and as you heard, they generate about 70% of the funding, so about $11 million of the $15.8 million that's putting this building up comes from inducing investors to buy those tax credits and hand over cash to build these things. So I'd like to introduce Bruce Sirota from Stratford Capital Group, who's the syndicator involved in helping steer that money here, and then he'll be followed, and I will introduce him separately, with Scott Brown from Citizens Bank.
Thank you, Jim. Well, I'm Bruce Sirota from Stratford Capital, based in Boston, and the first thing I want to do is thank Jim for giving me a reason to come to the great city of Pittsburgh today. Beautiful day. And as Jim mentioned, these projects involve the collaboration of a lot of different parties, especially when a developer like TCB is involved. There's often, the sources can add up, but the nice thing is that we get to work with some great people, some committed people on the financing side, people like Self-Help and Citizens Bank and the URA of Pittsburgh. So really, really appreciate being a part of this project, and looking forward to coming back here in about 12 months and seeing some beautiful property to the right of me. Thank you.
Okay, so we've been working with Citizens for a while, and I go see Scott Brown and a couple projects, and they agree to sponsor applications for affordable housing funds and so forth. And Scott always says, but can we do any of the construction loan, or can we do any of the equity? And I say, well, I'll go talk to our finance people in Boston, and it never quite works out. But this time you're doing the construction loan and the equity, so you should come up here and talk about that.
I know everybody came to hear the banker talk, right? The only one that really came to hear me talk is Beth Crow, and she's being paid. Beth, there she is. She's being paid, so she has to be here. You know, I was at an event yesterday, a PCRG seminar yesterday, and the mayor spoke during that event. And a lot of the people there during the luncheon were talking about the wonderful things that were going on in East Liberty, and the prices of the rental units and the such. And you know, the thing that struck me when I first looked at this is that the exact same amenities that are in those apartments in East Liberty are in here. Swimming pools, common areas with kitchens, you know, just everything that they've got there in East Liberty, you've got here. And it's really great to see that not only do the .comers in East Liberty get those kind of amenities, but the seniors here get those kind of amenities as well. I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. We're happy to be a part of all of the members who have played a part in this, and thank you so very much.
Okay, I don't know how many times I've introduced you because we've done so much work again and again in East Liberty, but I'd like to introduce Robert Rubenstein from the URA, who's been a partner of ours many times. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. It was a little more than a year ago, I think many of us under this tent and outside the tent were gathered at the Community Builders ribbon cutting in East Liberty. So really do want to thank you guys for your patience and your persistence. We know how competitive these tax credit projects are. We wish we could do 5 times the amount that we're able to do. It's really, you know, we're lucky to get 3 or 4 projects a year funded, and often it involves being patient and waiting. But we do applaud you and thank you for that and your perseverance. Probably going to repeat, being one of the last speakers, to repeat a lot of what folks said. But really, these partnerships were just so important. So with HUD, with PHFA, Stratford Capital, and Citizens, and community folks, the folks at Economic Development South. I see Greg and Jason here. You know, your partnership, your support for these kind of projects, and your advocacy is really important as well. The URA has invested $2 million in this project. Really, our lead person, Colette O'Leary, you wave your hand, Colette, has been super on all of these projects throughout the city of Pittsburgh, particularly working with community builders. Jessica Smith-Perry, our Assistant Director of Housing, is here. We even have an intern, Katie. Welcome to Pittsburgh, and her first groundbreaking. But finally, I want to acknowledge and thank Councilwoman Rudiak, because you've heard many speakers say this, but really it was that for those of you who are residents of Council District 2, she advocates on your behalf as strong as 4. I'm sorry. She advocates for 2 also. But no, she really advocates as strong as anybody on council, and really was pushing for this project and many others. And this is one of many things you'll be seeing happen here. So thank you for your leadership, and thank you, Mayor, for your leadership.
Well, everyone keeps talking about her, so I guess I should bring her up. Natalia Riviak.
Thank you. You made it. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I cannot emphasize that enough. Let's see. This is about my 7th year on council and approximately my 7th year working on this project. We made it. We made it. We've almost made it, right? We still need to build the building, right? But we're almost there. And I have to say, you know, it's really interesting being a city council person because in the spectrum of politics in this country, we are in the trenches. We are in the trenches. Not only do we try to work on these complex financial deals, but we're also in the trenches with community members every day. And I want to acknowledge my staff who is here. I have Megan Noof, Ashley Deemer, and Bethany Cameron, who are amazing, who have also been very supportive of this. And I do want to say that, you know, me and my staff, every other day, we get calls from seniors in our neighborhoods who want to stay in their homes, who want to stay in the community, who maybe can't afford to keep up their homes, or maybe their children have moved away, maybe they can't afford that retaining wall, or they can't afford or are disabled and cannot afford to mow the lawn. I mean, this is the bread and butter issues that our office deals with every single day, and there is a lack of affordable senior housing across the city, particularly in South Pittsburgh, and so this is a great step forward in providing the ability for seniors to age in place. And you know, I have been involved in every single step of the way. I've been actually thinking about it as we've moved forward here. There's been so much legwork. It's kind of almost hard for me to take that bird's eye view because I have been at every single meeting. And I was just talking with Greg Jones from Economic Development South, who was saying his second week on the job, it was me and Greg Jones and Tamara Dudokovich, who was a former employee of the Community Builders. And we talked about the site and how we could work together. And 6 years later, here we are. We met with members of Brentwood Council, Brentwood has also been an important part of this process, so I want to acknowledge them. There have been clearly years of applying to the state to get those tax credits. I never thought we'd actually laugh about how long it's taken, but here we are. And of course, there were those very polite requests with the mayor's office that may have resulted in some black eyes, but all for the best. And I want to thank the homeowners around here. We had an extensive community process. They've been very supportive. The business owners, I know we have some business owners here. I want to thank the Carrick Community Council and the Overbrook Community Council that have done great jobs in pushing information out to the community on what a benefit this can be. And you know, Carrick is a neighborhood in flux. The reason I ran for office was because I felt like we weren't getting the investment that we deserved in our southern communities. And I want to thank the mayor and the URA and all those partners here who have been really hearing that message, hearing that we need more investment. And when we talked with the community here, we recognized that we didn't want another parking lot along Brownsville Road. We didn't want another strip mall. We didn't want an industrial site. We wanted something that would be part of the community, part of the fabric of that community, that would be the highest and best use of this amazing piece of property. And thanks to the community builders, we have it. I cannot think, and I think that this is the first time that we have had such a large investment in our community, in Carrick, on this side of Brownsville, or this side of Route 51 for that matter, in District 4, $16 million. And as Mayor Peduto said, once that investment comes through, which is a combination of public and private dollars, we'll start seeing other investment being attracted here, because that's the way it works, folks. So this may be the first large investment we have in the community, but it may not be the last, and I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you.
Okay, I am so bored with groundbreakings that have shovels and you just throw some dirt. So I begged the contractor for a better idea, and they think they've come up with one. So Ernie Soda with Soda Construction is going to come up and tell you who his staff is that's here and tell you what he had in mind.
Thanks, Jim. I want to acknowledge our pre-construction team, Phil Ford over there and Evan Hoover. They got to the number that Jim wanted. and the 2% difference. It's not easy, but Jim keeps on saying, you're not there yet, you're not there yet, so we keep on working. Greg Rolich, Senior Project Manager over there, and Tim Graham, Superintendent. We enjoyed working very much with RDL Architects, Kevin Dreyfus-Wells. So Jim said, you know, as insistent as he was about the budget, he said, I want a groundbreaking that's different. And he sent me like 10 emails. Did you come up with something? So anyhow, so Tim Graham and I worked together, and we came up with an idea, given that, like, everybody's a hockey fan, right? Especially now, right? So we made earth pucks. So we made pucks out of the clay from right over there. Tim baked them in his oven. So we have about 50 of these. So who is ever interested, we'll start with the mayor. They will shoot from the 30-foot line, okay? You try to get 3 shots into the bucket. Whoever gets the most shots, I will donate $150 to their favorite charity. So with that, we'll start with the mayor.